In a matter of seconds, the vibrant city of Cebu, the beating heart of the Visayas, was hurled into chaos. At 9:59 p.m. on Tuesday, September 30th, 2025, a massive 6.9 magnitude earthquake struck just off the northern coast, less than 11 miles from Bogo City. With a shallow depth of only 6 miles beneath the surface, the quake unleashed its full fury with terrifying intensity. Panic erupted instantly. Residents flooded into the streets, clutching their children's cell phones, casting shaky beams of light as entire neighborhoods convulsed. In downtown Cebu, high-rises swayed violently, furniture crashed to the floor, and glass rained down onto sidewalks. Car alarms wailed, people screamed, and the very ground roared like a beast beneath their feet. And it wasn't just Cebu. Communities as far away as Samar and Negros Oriental, nearly 100 miles distant, felt the earth twist and shudder. In a single heartbeat, ordinary life was shattered, replaced by fear chaos, and the chilling truth: nature strikes without warning, stealing away a city's sense of safety in the blink of an eye.
Babe, come here, babe, come here. Ante, Amy! Usog.
Lord Jesus Christ. Ngayon ko lang na-experience yun.
For thousands of families across Cebu, that night will never be forgotten. In the city center, one mother described clutching her 2 children as the ceiling above them cracked open. She said it sounded like a freight train thundering overhead, except this time there was no train, only the earth itself ripping apart. Barefoot, they rushed into the street where hundreds of neighbors had already gathered, some in pajamas, others gripping flashlights with trembling hands. On social media, the devastation spread just as fast. One viral video captured the Santa Rosa de Lima Cathedral in northern Cebu, its centuries-old stone walls crumbling as the quake tore through, leaving worshippers gasping in disbelief. Another clip from Bantayan Island showed the historic Parroquia de San Pedro swaying violently, its bells clanging uncontrollably as terrified churchgoers screamed and fled for safety. These images cut deep because in the Philippines, churches are more than structures, they are sanctuaries of faith, pillars of identity, symbols of resilience. To watch them fracture and collapse was more than material loss, it was cultural heartbreak. Meanwhile, neighborhoods across Cebu City were left in shambles. Streets glittered with shattered glass water mains burst and flooded entire blocks, and electricity blinked in and out. What had begun as a calm Tuesday evening had descended into a nightmare, one shared live across Facebook, TikTok, and X, echoing far beyond the Philippines and into the world.
Sa breaker, kanan, Pret! Breaker, pag nga!
Within minutes of the quake, scientists at the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, better known as PHIVOLCS, confirmed the grim details: a 6.9 magnitude earthquake, its epicenter, less than 11 miles northeast of Bogo City, with a shallow depth of only 6 miles. That shallow depth mattered. Unlike deep quakes, which lose much of their energy underground, shallow earthquakes deliver their full force straight into towns and cities, making the shaking far more violent. In Cebu City, instruments recorded shaking equivalent to a modified Mercalli intensity 6 strong enough to topple unsecured furniture crack walls and send terrified residents pouring into the streets. In San Fernando, about 18 miles to the south, the tremor registered closer to intensity 3. Yet, even in northern Samar, nearly 100 miles away, people reported feeling the quake at intensity 2, a faint but unsettling reminder of its reach. International agencies confirmed the danger. The German Research Center for Geosciences reported similar readings, stressing that the quake's shallow profile amplified its destructiveness. Seismologists immediately warned of aftershocks in the days ahead, some potentially strong enough to bring down buildings already weakened by the main quake. For the people of the Visayas, the message was clear: the worst may not be over. Fear lingered in every home as families braced for another jolt in the middle of the night, an earthquake that could strike without warning.
Dayon gyud ani.
At dawn, the next morning, the human toll of the earthquake came into focus not in deaths, but in disrupted lives. Across Cebu and its neighboring provinces, classrooms stayed empty. Schools in Lapu-Lapu, Talisay, Mandaue, Minglanilla, and Consolacion suspended classes as officials warned of looming aftershocks. For thousands of students, Wednesday was no ordinary school day. It was spent in evacuation centers, crowded gymnasiums, and church courtyards waiting anxiously for updates. In downtown Cebu City, families refused to return indoors, sleeping outside their homes in fear of collapsing walls. Parents bundled children in blankets and cardboard, huddling together on sidewalks against the damp night air. With power still flickering in and out, entire neighborhoods were cast into darkness, lit only by flashlights and the dim glow of cell phones. Historic churches stood scarred, their cracked facades roped off to keep people away. Meanwhile, daily life was paralyzed. Shops, shuttered transport routes, clogged, and hospitals overwhelmed as they treated injuries from shattered glass and falling debris. Online, the chaos replayed endlessly. Viral clips showed panicked crowds surging into the streets, alarms blaring, and children crying. Around the world, the message was unmistakable: Cebu had been shaken to its core. In the tense hours after the quake, officials warned residents the danger was not over. Seismologists cautioned that aftershocks could strike at any moment, some powerful enough to topple buildings already fractured by the main tremor. For families camped outside, every rumble of traffic, every clap of thunder sent hearts racing, each sound mistaken for the earth preparing to shake again. Authorities pushed urgent safety alerts: stay clear of cracked structures, keep emergency kits close, and memorize the nearest evacuation routes. With power lines down in several neighborhoods, residents were also told to avoid live wires sparking in floodlit streets. Hospitals, already overflowing with the injured, braced for another wave of casualties should stronger shocks follow. For Cebu's people, preparedness suddenly became intimate, almost instinctive. parents stuffed bags with bottled water, flashlights, radios, and first aid kits supplies that could mean survival if the ground convulsed again. Churches and schools threw open their doors as makeshift shelters while community leaders urged calm but constant vigilance. The earthquake carried a sobering lesson. Survival isn't only about enduring the first blow, it's about the days of fear resilience and restless waiting that come after. And for Cebu, those days had only just begun.
POC gamit.
Earthquakes are never just numbers on a seismograph. They are moments etched in memory, fear, chaos, and the fight to survive. And that is why your story matters. If you've ever felt the ground split beneath you, whether along California's San Andreas Fault, in Alaska's frozen wilderness, or thousands of miles away in Cebu, you know the terror of those first seconds. The roar beneath your feet, the windows shattering, the haunting uncertainty of whether the next moment might be your last. We want to hear from you. Were you in Cebu when the earth shook, or have you lived through another quake before? Share that exact moment, the sights, the sounds, the thoughts racing through your mind. Don't keep it to yourself. Your story could be the lifeline someone else needs. In a world where the next disaster is always waiting, your words might be the warning or the wisdom that helps another person survive their own night of terror. The earthquake that shook Cebu on September 30th, 2025, was more than a tremor. It was a stark reminder of just how fragile life becomes when nature unleashes its fury. In mere seconds, families were driven from their homes. Centuries-old landmarks crumbled, and an entire region was left holding its breath, waiting for the next aftershock. Yet, even in fear, resilience rises. Across Cebu, neighbors carried each other to safety schools, and churches opened their doors as shelters and families proved that in the darkest hours, solidarity shines brightest. But the lesson is undeniable. Disasters like this are no longer rare. They are part of a global pattern reshaping our world. And the only way forward is through awareness, preparation, and community strength. So, if you want to stay informed and ready, subscribe now and turn on notifications. Because when the next disaster comes, and it will, having the right knowledge at the right moment could mean the difference between loss and survival for you and your loved ones.